Ruth is like having the quantity of Ruth and, using that in a way as an action, but ruthless. It means you've got a total absence of Ruth to hold you back.
What is define Ruth for me? Comes from Middle English noun Ruth,
Yes. Okay. Fair enough.
but we don't say Ruth. Like obviously, it's not a word that we use now.
I said
Unfortunately,
I said "fi" the other day.
fire,
Fi, as in
fire.
fi on you. Something
I
that
don't.
was
I don't know what
flippant.
fire means. I don't. I got. It's not a word that not a word that I use. Do you mean to do the first one? I'll do the penultimate chapter, and you can do the ultimate chapter.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
How's that for English language? Because it's actually I looked at it. I was like, it's easier to summarize the
The
chapter 6 of
penultimate,
part
the
2.
penultimate, aka the final.
No,
Okay.
penultimate means second last.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Daniel. Glad you're here. Fuck, that would have been shit.
Well, you just got that wrong. So
Oh well,
anyway,
that's I'm buggered, aren't I? Well, thank you for joining me, Daniel, for this final combative episode of Talking Mish. Final for this book. Presumably there will be others for other books, but this is Talking Mish, talking the sailor who fell from grace from the sea, and Pat is talking with Daniel, not in the third person of the whole episode. And you want to
so
talk about chapter 6, the second to last, aka runner-up chapter.
the penultimate chapter of the
Yeah.
book of the novel, chapter 6 of part 2.
Novel is a little bit of a stretch.
Novella. Sorry, it's a novella. All right. So this is an easy one to sum up because this is maybe what we'd call the trial in absentia of Ryuji.
Sukazaki.
Sukazaki.
It's got more legitimacy than The Hague.
This gang of little shits is trying him in absentia for what I guess crimes that could amount to being a washed up father. That'd be my summary.
For being a bad guy by their bizarre perspective.
Yeah.
Now I said a couple of chapters ago that these kids have never been dumber. They top themselves. This is dumber. This is dumber again.
They've got a pretty good plan.
Well, I mean, their logic and their reasoning is not very.
We'll get to the part. We'll get to the maybe the parts I think they sort of are a little bit smart on, but maybe the other thing is that they also pass down. They also sentence him, and they sentence him to death by drugging, vivisection, and then what would you call it? Dismemberment.
I guess.
Well, I guess the dismemberment will come after he's been vivisected.
It's not. They didn't really make it clear. They're gonna cut him in some way, but what? Presumably to death, but
yeah. So what we practice, you've practiced on the cat.
Yeah, so its implication is they'll cut him open.
They're like, oh, we'll cut him open the scalpel, and then it's like, oh yeah, just bring whatever cutting things you have, bring saws, bring knives. So I'm assuming they're just going to cut his body up into pieces as well. But anyway, getting a bit ahead of ourselves because we've got to get to the part where they try him.
Paint me a scene, Daniel.
All right, so they are at a oh god, where were they?
They are at a cemetery of the foreigners, which would be the American troops.
Yeah.
Presumably in an old army base. It's not really clear, but
maybe.
Well, like accommodation for army people in Yokohama.
Yeah.
That's that. It's not explicit, but that's what it appears to be.
So Noboru seems to be the trying prosecutor here, and he pulls out a small notebook and hands it to the chief. And
you've missed the scene. Set the scene.
Well, okay. So there's an emergency meeting that Noboru has asked the chief to call. So he's basically said, okay, after this humiliation of me getting caught watching my mother have sex, and and Ryuji sitting me down and
being like, good on you, son. Yeah, I do have had an erection once in my life.
Yeah, and just saying, look, boys will be boys, don't worry about it. Why don't we all get frosty chocolate milkshakes? Noboru very rightly feels insulted by this, and he asks the chair, that is the chief, to call an emergency meeting. And they meet at this cemetery, I guess.
Above the rooftops loom the marine tower. The foreigners' graves lay to the right, and a small valley to the left are pool weighted. In the off season, the tiered seats there made an excellent meeting place. So it's tiered seating next to the pool or near
Yeah,
the pool.
yeah.
I thought they were in the pool. Sorry.
No, that's all right. The point is, right, like the boys are meeting, and they're meeting to try
Yeah, on some sort of
Ryuji. Oh god.
on some sort of like penalty point system that just seems completely arbitrary and nonsense.
Yeah.
Like the the bit that I was reading, when they were going through the text together, which was Naburu's diary. This is terrible, the chief wailed. This last one alone is worth 35 points. And the total, let's see, even if you call it easy, you call this first charge 5 points, they get worse the closer they get to the end. I'm afraid the total's way over 150. It's just like reading a bit of paper and be like, that's 60 right there, I'm probably 10. So I have gone through the book that I've just read. It's not very long, from chapter one, oh sorry, page 106 to, or 126. Fucking hell, I'm brain dead. Page 126 to page 30 or whatever, to see what the first offense was that was worth 5 points, and it was smiling.
Yeah.
It was him smiling.
5 points. It's a misdemeanor.
Yeah, and 35 points is I had becoming dad ? Being kind ? Being a stereotype ?
I think it's becoming dad. I think it's
We don't actually see what the offense is. We sort
no.
of only guess by implication that it is
Well,
Ryuji Sukazaki didn't kick the shit out of Noburu for being a little filthy creep.
which look, the part I liked, just where we're establishing this as well, is where this sort of court comes into session, and the chief leads in with all 6 of us are geniuses.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is what all judges do before they go out, by the way.
Yeah, well, the High Court, when they've got
we're
the
all
bench,
geniuses, right?
or when they're doing a full bench of the High Court, all 7 of us were geniuses. We're the smartest people in Australia.
Yeah, we're all geniuses here, right? And then one of them's just like sort of eyes darting. We're all geniuses, right? Yeah.
I wish I could name more than one High Court judge.
So the hypocrisy of the point system is one thing, but then further on, like the chief goes off in this chapter, but he's pretty, like, he's just talks a lot, but in some points it's pretty funny. So he's going on about their place in society, and how 13-year-old boys are actually the prime movers of social order in Japanese society in the 1960s, apparently. But what they're so he's saying that they permit things. They have special privilege that allows them to permit things to occur. And what one section that I found particularly funny was, permitting is our special privilege, and we felt any pity at all, we wouldn't be ruthless enough to permit this. Hey, there you go, ruthless. I didn't even realize that was in there. How good is that? What it amounts to is that we're constantly permitting impermissible things, or unpermissible things, I guess. I can call it unpermissible, whatever. Probably because he's an idiot. There are only a few really permissible things, like the sea, for example. At ships, Noburu added. Right, anyway, very few. So just like making it up, they're making it up the whole way as they're going along, but it's become so transparent that they're just like, they're using this as a very thin valence as a means to an end. Like, there's no, why even have it? Why not just be like, well, what we want to do is harm a man.
So this is a show trial. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that the chief's whole speculation about that they're operating under some authority and privilege and whatever, that the whole book has been about, and his leadership and the gang and themselves, there is no basis to it. The basis is that they're vicious little freaks, who like being vicious little freaks and enable each other to be vicious little freaks.
Yeah,
And
great.
and there's like and this is where I think we're getting back into Mish mindset here. This is the liberal mindset that he's looking at and saying, well, they're just making it up as they go along. Why is this permissible, but this isn't? This is hypocritical, blah, blah, blah. It should be codified law under a sovereign. But then you have a sovereign like the chief who's put himself as the sovereign and the sole arbiter of law. And it's just gibberish and nonsense and doesn't make any
It's still
sense.
arbitrary. This is the point. It's arbitral justice.
Correct, which is why you need Mish mindset to really understand what he's talking about in this book. And this is why your pet theory, I think, falls down, because the chief is at opposites of what Mishima mindset is in essence. That he's set himself up as an independent sovereign, able to mete out law independently of anything else, except, as we find out later in the chapter, an additional authority that is liberal, totally liberal, not conservative. But I'll let you get to that.
All right. Well, we get into the nice, maybe the gory details where he starts to maybe inoculate the team into this idea of, okay, well, we agree he's guilty, right? Yes, okay. Well, what we're going to do? We're going to get some. I'll bring a scalpel and some sleeping pills. Number one, you bring 6 foot lengths of strong hemp rope. What is number two? Number two needs to prepare a thermos of hot tea, hide in your briefcase. And number 3, well, he's already done enough because he's going to bring Ryuji to the trial. Oh, sorry, I guess not even a trial. It's his execution. And then also saying, we need sugar and spoons and paper cups and blah, 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 blah. That's your job number 4. Number 5, you get some cloth for a blindfold and a towel you can use for the gag. A bit later on, just in case we don't pick up on it again, he thinks it's an incredible injustice that he be blindfolded. That he thinks that Noboru thinks that if we're going to execute this man, his last moments should be spent looking up at the sky. It's a very cute little idea.
I did like that the chief's really sophisticated about this. You can each bring any kind of cutting tool you like, knives, saws, whatever.
Whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
We're going to chop him up at the end anyway.
Yeah, bring a chainsaw or like a samurai
hammer
sword or whatever.
Yeah.
But then the kids are freaked out by this. Rightfully so, because he's effectively said you're all going to be co-conspirators in murdering a man.
Yeah.
And he says, well, there's nothing to be afraid of because the bloody lefty liberal justices of the Japanese judicial system have Penal Code Article 14, which says acts of juveniles less than 14 years of age are not punishable by law. I'll read it again as loud as I can. Acts as juveniles less than 14 years of age are not punishable by law.
Well, that sorts it. I mean, if there's no punishment, it's not wrong.
Correct. More importantly, though, this is deference of a sovereign towards liberal authority. And this is, I'm hammering the point, but this is something that was very, very much animated Mishima in his lifetime, that there was deference of a sovereign to a liberal authority, but unlike what he assumed the emperor was, which was enforced upon, the chief relishes in it and he uses it for obscenity.
Oh, he uses it cynically. I think this is the thing. He
uses law to justify action rather than action on itself being justified by personal justification.
Yeah, I mean, the law says the law would say, obviously, in Japan that murder is wrong and torture is wrong and confinement or kidnapping is wrong, but it's more like he's putting emphasis on the loophole, which is, well, I mean, that's exactly fine, but we're not subject to the law. We're not subject to criminal code, sorry.
Which is the sort of thing that animates people like Mishima, so on and so forth. I could imagine, even though old mate doesn't actually drink wine, having a glass of sake. I don't know if he actually drank at all, but and him pointing at me and saying, you know what's bullshit? These fucking kids that are robbing our sushi shops and they're robbing our Shinto shrines.
Yeah, and those shops that sell those wooden shoes, the
That's
clogs,
right. They're
and
robbing the
the
clog
kimono
retailers.
shops.
They're robbing the grilled squid on a
Yeah,
skewer
yeah.
dealers,
The underage
and they're
pornography laws.
13. They're 13 years old, and they get off scot free.
We can't do shit about it.
Can't
Hey,
do anything about it.
do you reckon the emperor had immunity? Just as a
Yes, he
side
did.
thing?
He
Okay.
did. He had sovereign immunity. That was the whole problem with the show. Well, the point that he wasn't actually put on trial in the show trial because he did have sovereign immunity, as does every sovereign.
Mm.
Even the
Governor General of Australia.
Yes, correct.
Really?
There's no sovereign. So head
I guess they
head
sit
of
at the head of the triad. Yeah, okay.
yeah, but it's that's where elected sovereigns sort of come into play because you can recall them and then try them as a private citizen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I think the only country that isn't automatic is America, where they have
Yeah,
to
that's right.
actively pardon themselves.
Yeah.
But they can apply sovereign immunity to other people.
Yeah.
That's anyway. Getting off
Anyway,
track.
we're getting off. Okay, so anyway, these kids, they're not quite 14. Therefore, the penal code does not apply to them. So
Yes.
that means they can murder Ryuji and not face any legal consequences. Obviously, there'll be massive social consequences, but they're not. This is something the chief isn't really concerned about, is he?
To quote the chief, just think about it a minute. This is our last chance.
Last chance to kill someone.
Yeah. Like, fucking hell.
This is
This
yeah.
is our last chance, the chief repeated. If we don't act now, we will never again be able to obey freedom's supreme command to perform the deed essential to fulfilling the emptiness of the world, unless we are prepared to sacrifice our lives, which is incorrect because he's actually sacrificing someone else's life,
Yes,
and using a loophole to get away from being punished for it.
that's right. Well, being punished by the law for it. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that there's no doubt that they will face some kind of punishment. Anyway, we'll get to that later.
We must have blood, human blood. Oh god, this is cracking me up reading this. He's so cooked in this.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
the
he's my
time is
favorite
now.
character. He's my favorite character. I love the chief.
He just becomes Dracula.
I want to talk more about the chief, but that's for another time. Do you want to move on to? Oh, I love this. Looks like tomorrow will be a nice day.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where it ends. That's where the chapter ends.
Yes, it does. And I think that, as I said, there's just something missing with these kids. And I don't know what it is.
A
And
strong
it might
fatherly
be
figure.
it might be a reflection of like post-war Japan's cynicism. But as I said to you, I think that these two chapters are metaphors. And I think that Mishima is being very heavy-handed at the end of the book to drive that metaphor home.
Okay.
That he disapproves of liberal justice, and he disapproves of abrogation of responsibility, personal responsibility, in aid of whatever glory these guys are seeking. Because effectively, I think they're becoming what he would define as bureaucrats. They're people who are having achievement through application of law rather than through personal achievement.
The job of a bureaucrat is to navigate the bureaucracy. Yes, there are people who have specific functions in it, but there's people like whose job it is to like work out how to move through it and to get things done.
Yeah, but this kid is going to be like, he's going to grow up and become the guy that took over for like a month after Shinzo Abe got shot.
Yeah.
Or no, after he resigned from having a chronically sore tummy.
Did he resign?
Yeah, he resigned because he got colitis.
Ah, poor guy.
I think he resigned twice because he had colitis. I don't feel any sympathy for Abe. He was a horrible person.
Poor guy.
No, a dreadful person. Like the
I
most
I
justified
know, dude. I
assassination
know.
in history. Like that
I know.
guy.
I know he's not a nice guy. I know. The
A
Japanese
shame.
political system's
I've
fucked.
got to say, it's a shame that he got for Mooneyite behavior rather than like all the other horrible shit he did in his life.
Yeah,
But
but
whatever.
it's kind of funny that he also got for the that weird like fucking weird. Is it like a South Korean Christian thing? Isn't it?
Yeah, they were Moonies.
All right. So chapter 7. Should we move on to chapter 7?
Certainly. So, chapter 7. I hear wedding bells. On the morning of the 22nd, Fasako went with Ryuji
That's
to the town
December, by the
hall
way.
to ask the mayor of Yokohama if he would be Toastmaster at their wedding dinner, and he said he would be honoured. So they make the arrangements. Fasako teases Ryuji and says, "Are you sure I don't have to worry you'll get on that ship and disappear?"
Mm-hmm.
And then Naburu enters the scene, the black presence of Naburu. Um, all the fellows are looking forward to hearing some of your sea stories tomorrow afternoon, Naburu asks Ryuji. We're going to meet on the hill above that pool when school's over at 2.
You missed something very important.
What's that?
What is the first word he says to Ryuji?
Dad.
Dad. Calls him dad.
He does call him dad, facetiously, presumably. That was also
Yeah.
the word I was looking for previously that I couldn't remember.
Oh.
So he asked him to dress up like a sailor man, keep a secret from his mum, and go meet these young children at a remote and unsupervised location, which is totally normal stuff. Ryuji was determined not to betray the boy's trust. It was a father's duty, after all.
Mm-hmm.
Although he does like sort of wonder, do I look like a pedophile right now at several points in this chapter, which makes me laugh a bit. But Ryuji then meets the boys, and they head up on what I like to think is a bit of a spiritual adventure.
I love this little description of when they meet him. 6 little tugboats laboring to tow a freighter out to sea.
Yes, very funny.
It's so cute.
So Ryuji's wearing his grey turtleneck sweater and carried his pea jacket over his arm. Anyway, so are you familiar, Daniel, with the term of a kami kakushi?
No.
Have you
100% no.
You have seen the film Spirited Away, because I know we watched it on
I
New
have.
Zealand, though.
Did we watch I think I've seen the film about 10 times, not to take away from our moment together, but a kanikakushi, what's that?
That is the concept of being vanished away by gods or spirits via mechanism of a threshold or tunnel.
That's not in your translation, is it?
No, it isn't.
Okay.
But
This is
reading
coming
between
from
the
Patrick's
lines.
mind.
I'm reading between the lines here. So
Yeah.
they go through the Tomioka tunnel to get to this new location that exists separate from the rest of Yokohama, effectively. You can hear noise and you can sort of view the sea and view the city around you, but you're abstracted from it in a way. The boys themselves are described as blurring together. Noboru sort of vanishes into the crowd, and Ryuji finds it hard to tell them apart at one point. Ryuji then follows the road from the tunnel, which slowly disappears into untended fields. And then they have an entry into a forbidden area, which is the Marine base, the US Force installation. Unauthorized entry prohibited and punishable under Japanese law.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at the land itself around the sea and finds the landscape appeared to fold in on itself and assume a special quality of rust and sadness and clutter. And then he beholds the wonder of this strange area, which is a mountain-based dry dock. How's that for an?
Mountain-based dry dock sounds cool.
But how is that for a metaphor from a sailor who has lost his ties with the sea, and he comes upon a place where boats are permanently removed from the sea on the highest possible point away from the sea that you can possibly get in the area?
They're basically a dry dock removes it from, like, I guess the movements of the sea, so that boat can be repaired usually.
Correct. But in this instance, it is a disused dry dock on a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
That is an analog for Ryuji.
Mm-hmm.
That is what Ryuji is. He is removed as far removed possible from the sea as he could become. And then the sea breeze.
Sorry, go.
No, that's right. The sea breeze hits him on the face. Even though he's as far away as you could possibly get from the sea breeze, it's far enough that it can still hit him in the face. This is, my friend, many, many metaphors. But most importantly, Ryuji has entered the spirit world. Ryuji has he's entered the world of platonic forms, where he's viewing things through metaphor. And everything that occurs post this point, in my pet theory, is entirely metaphor. This is why you have absurdities such as the chief, like, comically pulling rubber gloves over his arm, and Ryuji saying, that seems a little unusual, but, no matter. And continuing on.
Yeah.
Ryuji.
I'll say that you cut the dry dock would have been at sea level, though.
No, it isn't. That's the whole point.
How could a dry dock be above sea level?
Well, because they're on top of a hill here.
I don't think it.
Look,
I'm not sure I've read it right.
This is our dry dock. A dry dock on top of a mountain. We repair rundown ships here, dismantle them first, and then rebuild them from the ground up. Is that right? Must be quite a job hauling a ship up here. It's easy, nothing to it, the boy said. And the too pretty smile lit his face again. The Ryuji's very... I feel like these boys have transcended material forms and have effectively become spirits of vengeance, I suppose, upon Ryuji for abandoning the sea that has struck him. Good, like this is part of the metaphor I haven't actually examined, but they appear to be completely abstracted. They appear to just be symbols, the same symbols that the chief was talking in the previous chapter that I didn't specify, where he stated that there are symbols that make up the world, and Ryuji was a symbol, and now, because he's now a father, he's lost that symbology. These boys have in themselves become symbols. They've become, what you'd call as furies, or if you're Greek, which you are. They have become a tool abstracted from themselves of vengeance by the sea upon Ryuji for forsaking it. Is how I read it. And this is textual analysis.
That's your opinion, man. Mine is there are a bunch of little fucking kids who are going to murder him. But I'm taking a very literal interpretation of this text.
Well, the only thing that supports my metaphorical reading of it is that he becomes lost in his own story, and he sort of says with regret as he's going through, I could have been a man sailing away forever. He'd been fed up with it all, glutted, and yet now slowly he was awakening again to the immensity of what he had abandoned.
I'm sorry, but I think I might have got this dry dock thing wrong. It's a metaphorical dry dock.
Yes.
I was assuming it was a real one.
No. I
was like, no, how can you have a dry dock on top of a mountain? That's crazy.
He was humouring them. They're saying it's a dry dock, but
oh my God, I'm so stupid.
That's what I'm saying. They're pointing towards it as though it is a.
You know what's crazy? I just looked over to my right while we were talking, and I saw that copy of Spirited Away you gave me on Blu-ray.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that nice?
Is that the one that didn't have the DVD in it? Didn't it had some
No,
other DVD
I
in
know
it,
it's
didn't
got
it?
Die Hard 4 in it.
That's so
I'm
good.
glad I found that out now.
Oh dear. What a shit movie to be replaced.
Oh well.
Oh, man.
Nevertheless.
Anyway, so it ends with the poison tea being prepared
Mm-hmm.
for Ryuji, who sort of takes it without realizing or sort of caring. And I might read the last couple of paragraphs if you'll indulge
Please, yeah.
me. Want some tea? The leader's high, clear voice rang out behind him. Okay. Ryuji mused on without even turning his head. He recalled the shapes of islands he had visited. Makatea in the South Pacific and New Caledonia, the West Indies, seething with languor and melancholy, teeming with condor and parrots, and everywhere you looked palms, emperor palms, wine palms, surging out of the splendor of the sea. Death had swept down on him like a stormy bank of clouds. A vision of death now eternally beyond his reach, majestic, acclaimed, heroic death, unfurled its rapture upon his brain. And if the world had been provided for just this radiant death, then why shouldn't the world also perish for it? Waves as tepid as blood inside an atoll, the tropical sun blaring across the sky like the call of a brass trumpet, the many-coloured seas, sharks. Another step or two, and Ryuji would have begun to have regrets. Here's your tea, Ryuji offered from behind him, thrusting a dark brown plastic cup near Ryuji's cheek. Absently, Ryuji took it. He noticed Nobura's hand trembling slightly, probably from the cold. Still immersed in his dream, he dragged down the tepid tea. It tasted bitter. Glory, as anyone knows, is bitter stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what a good end.
So true.
Now, this is where your theory and my theory deviate
Well, no,
because
but we've got to stop here because we also have a more fundamental difference, which is what actually happens after this.
correct. So no, this is what I'm going to get into.
Oh,
So
okay.
he is in the spirit realm. Death is surely going to take him, 100%.
Yeah.
He is in reality. He's taken probably 1960s style benzos
Mm.
in a teacup that tastes
Yeah,
slightly
like
bitter.
Super Xanax or something, or Reds or something. One of those things that they're not allowed to make anymore because too many like housewives died taking it.
No, you're thinking of not barbiturates. You're thinking
Yeah,
of
yeah,
barbiturates. No, I'm sorry, I
yeah.
mean
Reds, yeah.
uh,
You think of Valium or
benzos,
something?
benzodiazepine.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Super Valium or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so he's probably taking benzos.
yeah.
Realistically, he drinks that down, even if it's overdose amounts, because it's said it's slightly bitter instead of really bitter, which barbiturates are. He's getting up and he's walking home and being like, "Oh, I feel like shit. I'm going to go to hospital because I'm clearly unwell because I'm within walking distance of a road."
He's had a lot though.
Well, we don't know how much he's had because they haven't. These are children that are mixing up a quantity that they think is a lot for a 35-year-old guy who's in fairly good health.
Very good
I,
health.
yeah, I think he could probably be like, "Oh, I don't feel very well," and leave. And what are these little fucking weaklings going to do to stop him? He said at one point that they all appear very small, like, and I was thinking they're like the size of Smurfs or something.
So I just looked up what was the sleeping pill du jour of the mid 20th century made
Japan
in
of the
Germany,
1960s.
or German
Japan of the
ones.
no,
The
no, Japan of the 1960s because it's
Yeah,
different.
but he says German sleeping pills,
Yeah, but that's
and
not.
so
No,
you know
no.
what they were making? It was either barbiturates or thalidomide.
Yeah, well, I don't. I think that you're talking like mid 20th century is like 50s. The
Yeah,
benzos were in the 60s. That's when people started being like, "Oh fuck, okay, barbiturates are killing people. Let's swap to something that's a bit better." But the reason I say it's probably not barbiturates is because he says it tastes a bit bitter. Barbiturates are really bitter. Like they're so bitter you
yeah.
can't take them without having like sugar.
So, but the thing with benzos is they're not water soluble. And I know that from experience. Don't ask me why.
Are barbiturates?
That's a good question. I'm assuming so. Guys, there's so many different things they could have been taking. But yeah, no, it could have been benzodiazepines, but I would say that they would have been
No.
very
Preform
unsuitable
barbiturate
for
acids are
tea.
generally insoluble.
There you go. Well, so is benzodiazepines.
So it's probably like Quaaludes or something, like
Ludes.
or
Yeah.
nothing, or Mishima
Or
hasn't done the
thalidomide.
research
Yeah,
and
he hasn't researched it properly.
he hasn't actually the whole point is that his intent is that he's either going to die or that these stupid children have fucked it up and he's going to not die and be like, oh, I feel like shit, Fasako, can you take me to hospital? And then they're going to be like, oh, you were drugged. And then he sort of goes, this isn't going to work out, Fasako. I'm getting back on the ship and leaving because your son just tried to drug me.
Well, I mean, maybe as you can guess, my view is that it's a bit more of a simple affair, and that is the kids drug him and then kill him.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it'll happen. The way these kids just seem too feckless to be able to pull something off like that. They seem too stupid, too egotistical, and too self-assured that in a real life situation, I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, the other thing is they could have drugged him until he was unconscious and then just been like, okay, well, actually, I don't want to kill him.
You don't fall, unless you're super overdosing someone, they don't fall unconscious on sleeping pills. They get sleepy.
Well, look, I'll say that I've got a little bit more experience with
but this is what I'm saying.
More than therapeutic doses of medicine.
Because of the quantity, it's not like you're going to fall down in the street and go to sleep like you're doing fentanyl, right?
Well, I mean, God, fentanyl's a bit of a dicey one. Yeah, you're not going to be nodding off like you're doing heroin, right?
No, you're going to be probably an hour, I would say, for it to take effect. So what are they going to do? Sit around with him for an hour and just be like, oh, we've made a bed for you as well. Although he's an oaf, so he's probably like, oh, I'm feeling very sleepy. Have you got somewhere I could lie down, young man? Absolutely, Dad.
I think at the point where we discuss the film, maybe that might show how I envisage the whole thing going down.
I watched that last scene of that film and I'm like, okay, so this is exactly what Daniel thought was happening. Because he is completely lucid when he's drinking this.
Yeah.
He's just sort of lost in his own thoughts. There's no and he's only taken a sip. One sip.
Yeah, but he's taking a sip and he's like, but this is foreboding. Oh, he knows it's bitter, but he's like, glory is bitter because tea is also bitter. Like tea is not a sweet drink.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
it can be if you put sugar in it. And he says bring sugar and put it in the tea.
What do they drink in Japan?
Probably black tea like everyone else drinks in the world, or green tea. Oolong. I don't know. What do they drink? Hey, Grok, what do they drink in? I don't have Grok. What tea do they drink in Japan? I don't know, green tea or black tea. I'm assuming a normal tea. But tea is always bitter. Tea is a bitter drink.
They're drinking proper Tetleys.
Oh, dude, I've got Tetley. I drink Tetley at home, and it is a very, very good tea. Nice and strong. It's good for the white palate.
Don't like it. Don't like it at all. And that, I suppose, on that final argument, that is the end of this book. Ambiguous end, which are always the best endings.
Yeah, because you can have that discussion where we can argue probably for days on end about what happened to Ryuji. But
so this is even better ambiguity because in my mind, you've got a three-way ambiguity. He lives, he dies, or he's already dead and in the spirit realm.
Yeah.
In the realm of wind and ghosts.
Well,
what's your, I suppose, pet theories? Let's revisit them.
Okay, my basic one.
No, your initial one, which was that the chief was.
Yeah, I mean, the chief is sort of the voice of Mishima, but I think more basically than that is this is really a book about it's about adolescence, it's about fathers and sons, and about fundamentally about the relationship between the son and the mother and the father. The son is jealous of the father. The son wants to fuck his mother, and that the son wants to kill and supplant his father.
Oedipus.
Yeah, it's Oedipal. Yeah, very, very. This is an Oedipal story for me.
Do you think that Mishima ever read Oedipus?
Yes,
I never
I
did.
think he would have had to have at least been familiar with the theory, not with the theory. Sorry, with the text. Probably, maybe even with the psychoanalytic theory.
I
Definitely,
th-
100%. He
I
was a man
think
of literature.
he was. My thoughts are that it was actually, and you're wrong. That's my first thought. And my second thought is that let me just give me a second to think up a theory. That it's ultimately a story about regret that has no solution for some people.
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter what Ryuji does in life, he's always going to regret it, and there's no way to remedy that. And
Mm.
he's
Yeah,
one of those people who it's his whole life is always going to be subpar than whatever it is that he expected it to be, which is glory. But as
we can
glory is
coexist on
undefined,
this.
that's right. Glory is undefined in the entire book by Noboru, by Ryuji, but because it's undefined, it's unachievable. And I think Ryuji's sort of instinct to let's just be a reasonable adult, marry, have children,
Hmm.
is a reasonable one to have. But I understand where he's coming from at the end, where he does regret his actions because he's, like all of us, I think he has regret. But unlike most people who can rationalize regret, because he's got this undefined sense of glory, it's never able to be rationalized. It just exists as a burden on him for his entire life.
And,
And because it's a burden, death is a solution, which is
and
why he pursues death.
it's kind of weird to me because I don't think he ever had glory ever.
No. Well, that's the thing. I think that, and I think that's the point of the book is that it's always in the eye of the beholder, which is such a banal statement to make, but it's true. The impression that he gave to Naburu upon their first meeting until he spent time to sort of dilute it with his actions, Naburu did see him as a glorious figure, and so did the other boys.
Yeah,
And then the reason he was sentenced to death is that he forsook his own glory of
yeah.
being a romantic, figure of a sailor or whatever, which is something that Naburu wanted to be. But then you look to it from Ryuji's perspective, as they do in the book, where they switch perspectives several times to sort of show ridicule and as a joke in various points. Um, where Ryuji doesn't matter what he does, he could have stayed on the ship, he would have regretted it. He could have married Fasaka, he would have regretted it. He could have lost all his money, and he would have regretted it. He could have done anything apart from dying, which would be the one thing that he couldn't regret because that's the one thing he couldn't
You,
coexist past the
can't
point.
regret dying. This is
Yeah.
the
And which is why I think he ultimately desires it. That's his romantic goal is to die in a beautiful way, but ultimately
yes.
it's to
I,
die.
I'd agree. I agree with that. I think glory is slightly defined earlier on in the novel where it is about dying. Like it's about dying in some sort of heroic or brave way.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that was my take on the book anyway. I think that my just to address my pet theory, I don't think there's anything in this book to indicate that Ryuji is not the Union delegate. The fact that they were so happy to let him go from the ship, probably indicates that he was the Union delegate and they just wanted to get rid of him. So yeah, I'm stuck with that theory, and they'll probably give him a Union funeral now, which will be always a good affair, having been to a couple of those.
What's a union funeral? God, I mean, I've only ever been part of
Oh man,
shitty unions, so
it's where none of your family show up, and it's
oh
all of the
god,
union sends people.
oh god.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a depressing affair, but
he doesn't have any family anyways, so that's good. I think I've said everything I really, really want to say about this text, and in that, like for me, the main thing is this is an eatable text. This is about this, but it's not just about like the pure like oh like it's about the father and son relationship and wanting to fuck your mom, etc. But it's about adolescence, and it's about like being some like fucking awful little teenager and being a little gremlin. These sorts of things that come with being that age. For me, it's really about that. But I don't know like what your teenage years were like. But I would say I was a very angsty and misbehaved teenager. And I got up to a lot of weird and nasty shit, and I don't think you can relate to that. My ability to play video games and masturbate were very limited, and so a
damn,
lot of my spare time
you poor guy,
was a lot of my time was
couldn't
either
even
spent
masturbate.
studying. I did a lot of study, and then when I wasn't that, it was trying to find time to hang out with my friends and get up to evil shit like throwing rocks at houses or lighting things on fire or whatever. Like that was
Oh
that was
yeah, I
my
mean, I did
yeah.
that, like canister bombs and chlorine bombs and stuff. But
Yeah, I would say this is the thing. That this is what I mean. This is why this story resonates with me, because it's about like when you're that age, it's like you're bored and there's so many things to do, yet you don't want to do any of them. And what you really want to go and do is just evil things.
I guess, I mean, I guess I just didn't really have that instinct when I was a teen. It was, um, and I think because I was a teen right when 4chan was sort of early days. Um,
Yeah, you
so
and
I
I did
spent,
have that. We've got that slight gap where, like, I was coming into 4chan around the age of 17 and 18, whereas
yeah,
for you, you would have been sort of 14, 15, 16,
yeah.
which is much worse age to be into that sort of shit. Because by that age, I was like, oh, this is kind of a fun novelty, but, I've got to think about university now.
Yeah, which I wasn't thinking about. So I guess my teenage years in Adelaide were really like that the sort of 4chan video games, and then my sister would take me to these parties with all of her mates that were all like in their 20s. So I was like
Yeah.
15 getting, pissed with a bunch of 20 somethings.
I did that
Um
once and it was a terrible mistake.
oh, it was fun. Like they're very nice guys. And they were all very nice to me and, my friends. So full credit to them. But what 20-year-old wants to hang out with a 15-year-old boy?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
but
Uh,
shared interest of all had the same underdeveloped brain, I guess.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean that's so I sort of have I don't think my teenage years were typical. Let me put it at that. Um, but yeah, it didn't really resonate any of the pervert. Like if Noboru was a pervert, that would have resonated with me.
he is a pervert.
But he isn't really. He's sort of.
He's watching his mum have sex. I know he's not masturbating, but it doesn't make you not a pervert just because you're not masturbating while your mum has sex with someone.
But that's the bit that I don't get. So there's having no sexual desire as a 13-year-old boy seems odd to me.
And that is a real
Because that was like
glaring
prime.
absence. Really, there's no discussion of his sexuality.
That was like, I can't wait until I'm 16 so I can have sex mindset. Like that was, I don't know. I think
It's like a
maybe
Beavis and Butthead mindset.
pornography just wasn't that accessible in the 60s in Japan, but like I have a feeling it probably was.
Yeah. Hang on. In the film, they're looking at pornography well, they're not looking at pornography. They're looking at an instructional, aren't they?
No, they're
Some
looking at
weird.
pornography.
Is
But
it pornography? But
it
yeah.
is UK pornography. So that woman had teeth that would have looked like a fence that someone had driven their car into.
but it wasn't. But when you see it, I mean, well, yes, we'll talk about the film another time. I actually really would like. I love talking film.
It would have been like pornography with a star on it, and written in the star was, "Look at these nangs and
Yeah.
fanny."
But do you remember? Do you remember what was in those scenes and when they're opening the covers and it looks like an instructional. Here's these different positions, and like it's beyond the three positions that I know. There was like about 6 or 7 of them that they looked
Good
at.
Lord. You'll have to rewind that and watch it again tonight. You have to watch the shower scene in Starship Troopers over and over.
Oh baby, wasn't that a moment for every fucking teenage boy back then?
The least sexual scene on Earth.
You're like, wow, she's getting her kid off around all these guys. That's fucking sick. Why aren't they having sex with each other?
Talking about like how I need to serve in the military so I can have a child, and it's like, yeah, baby, let's have a look at those tits.
They were kind of nice though.
So yes, I think I don't know. Well, final thoughts then, I guess, because we're probably at wrap up time.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you like the book?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's a sicko book. It's a sicko book about sickos, and it's for sickos. I loved it. I really loved it.
It's not my favorite book of his.
Really?
It didn't hit the same neuron activation point that I have with other books of his, like Golden Pavilion and Beautiful Star. They're books I think about. I think I actually cried while I was reading Golden Pavilion because I'm like, this is so beautiful. And
really?
So, yeah.
I mean, maybe we need to talk about that when we discuss Golden Pavilion. But I mean, Golden Pavilion is another great. It's a sicko book for sickos, and it's about sickos. I love it. That's why I love it.
But there's such a purity to it that I feel that this book it's much more kitchen sink. It's more. He can never steer away from the spiritual element, I think, but it's not like Golden Pavilion, which is very. I don't know. You wouldn't call it instructive, but it's like an examination of an individual.
Yeah.
As
a type of individual, maybe.
But as thorough as you can possibly get. Like there is nothing that is left bare.
Yeah.
Including changing your mind, which is such a beautiful way to capture it. But in this book, it's not service level. I won't say that, but it just didn't take me as much as other books of his has.
Okay.
Because I think that, and it might be down to the fact that he's writing all the characters as being dishonest with themselves.
Yeah. That's a really that's a good point. Like all the characters are a bit.
Well,
you are right, my friend.
Right. But I think I can see like the writing itself, and this is the problem as well, because we're talking about writing of a translation. So without actually having read the original Japanese, hard to tell whether the writing is a one-to-one reflection or whether there's creative liberties being taken. But I feel like the ones that Mishima is happy with, and there's records of what translation he's happy with and which ones he isn't. And there's also translations written after his death, which also make it a bit more tricky. I think that the ones that he's happy with during his lifetime were the ones that were more reflective of his writing. He was particularly happy with this one.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is probably as reflective as you're going to get.
But yeah, and I think that despite, I mean, we had some minor differences in translation, but by and large, I think it was pretty damn bang on between our editions.
I think it's just modernization. Like this, reading a 60s book, translated in the 60s, they're going to use a lot of 60s terminology, but I feel like it's sort of different terminology they use now for the same thing.
Yeah.
Because the parts you brought up were really just synonyms and stuff like that.
Yeah. So mine's a 99 version of a 65 translation. It's the Nathan translation. So yes, like we're both on the Nathan translation, but Mine's just probably updated. It's fine. I don't think there's a couple of points where we sort of ummed and ahed about what the meaning was, but
Yeah, like the bedizenment section.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. I did so to the listeners, I sent Mr. Nathan, who is still alive, and he's a professor at Berkeley University, I think, or University of California, Berkeley, maybe. I'm not sure, but I emailed his professorial account and asked if he'd be interested in being interviewed, but I have yet to hear back from the esteemed professor. So if I do, then I will try and arrange an interview where we could actually ask him these questions. But if he's not interested, that's up to him. I wouldn't be interested in talking to two random Australians about the man that you've spent your life writing several books about and translating several of his books. Who you met, presumably.
Yeah. Also, 60 years on as well. Oh, sorry, 50 years on from that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's a long time.
But yeah, the esteemed Professor Nathan, the invitation's open if you would like to, but we understand completely if you wouldn't. As if I was 80, I wouldn't want to talk to fucking anybody, let alone an Australian.
Yeah.
Absolutely not an Australian.
Agreed.
Anyway.
Absolutely agreed. Anyway. Well,
so we'll be examining as a special episode the movie adaptation of So He Fell from Grace with the Sea with Chris Christopherson and Sarah Miles.
and believe me, that we've got a funny few tidbits about Sarah Miles when we we won't talk about it now. We'll save that till later.
She's hot. I liked her in that. I thought she was really hot in that movie.
Yeah, but just imagine what her breasts smelled like.
Oh man, yeah. Well, imagine what Chris Christopherson smelled like.
Both his character and in real life. Yeah,
the man, he looked like he smashed a bong before every scene.
It was a very serene character. But anyway, I'm looking forward to this. I love film. I love talking film.
I didn't love this film.
No, and I actually didn't mind it.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I've got to say.
This is a classic, like Pat and Daniel baseline. My baseline is that most movies are fine, and Pat's baseline is that most movies are not fine.
No, you're wrong. You're incorrect. I do pick and choose movies. I feel like I don't know. I don't want to get too into movie theory here, but if you don't have a movie that's actually doing or saying something transformative, then it's just not really that interesting. And I feel like a lot of the 60s and 70s movies were just very formulaic, and I feel like this was sort of a victim of that, taking a transcendental text and making it banal. But that's my opinion anyway. I'll talk about it in the movie episode.
Okay. I love banality. All right. Well, thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Daniel.
We're done with the book.
We are done with the book. I can read.
You can throw it in the bin.
I can read my book about blimps now.
I can read my book about Zhao and Lai, which I bought for my birthday and I hadn't started reading yet. But maybe we'll read the next. Mishima novel that we may have agreed to read already, which is going to be Temple of the Golden Pavilion.
Yes, we probably will. I might get started on the water margin again.